I call this meeting to order at 5:01. Senator Nguyen, can you please leave us in the fight song? Do you want me to help you? All right. It's 1, 2, you know what to do. Fight, fight, fight. Hail to the Charleston Tigers. Fight, fight, Tigers, fight. Lead us to victory. To you. Thank you all so much. Chief of Staff Committee will be taking attendance as we do communication. We will now move into the approval of the minutes. Are there any amendments to last meeting's minutes? Hearing none, we will consider them approved. Are there any amendments to the agenda? Fight, fight, fight.
Sorry, y'all, I'll give this some time. Not today, though.
President DeVoe. I recommend that we. Can everyone hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, I recommend that we add disability representative to the agenda. Does someone accept that recommendation? Senator Ring?
I accept.
Is there a second? Senator Maddox?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? Abstaining? Thank you. We'll add that amendment to the agenda. Are there any other amendments to the agenda? Chief Justice Hurtado Olson.
Hi, I just want to, this is more of a point of information. Do we have to do amendments for the names? Because it still says Chief of Staff Ambush and then Vice President Scott.
Yes, we would have to amend them. Senator Ring.
Okay, I move that we amend the agenda to say Chief of Staff Moody and Vice President Ambush.
Is there, does anyone, is there a second? Senator Mackey?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? Abstaining? Thank you. We will make those amendments to the agenda. Is there any other amendments to the agenda? Hearing none, we will move forward with the agenda approved. We were supposed to have a guest speaker today, city engagement. We have no guest speakers today. Is there any public participation or student concerns? Director Johnstone.
Thank you. Forgive me for a second, I'm just looking at myself for reference. So unfortunately, I saw via Snapchat from an Asian American student that they had been targeted in a crime related or similar to a hate crime. They were sitting in one of the buildings with their mask on, and a person not of Asian descent came up to them and said, "Why are you wearing that mask? Because you started this pandemic?" And walked out. I think it might be worthwhile for us to reiterate that this is not okay and that there are punishments for students who will do so via our Instagram to show our solidarity with our Asian American students. They also said, when talking to them about this, that this was simply something that happened on this campus and that they were null to it. Sorry, that they were, what am I trying to say? Void of emotion when it comes to it. Because it happens so much. So I think that is something that we really need to talk about.
Thank you, Dr. Johnstone. President DeVoe. Is there any other public participation or any concerns or any comments? No. All right, we'll move to Chief Justice Hurtado Olson.
Hi, I just wanted to say that I heard from a couple students. I know that there was a student that came into our office a few days ago, but I also heard from other students that to commute to campus as well as myself. And we're wondering if there was going to be anything done or if we could do anything to deal with the gas prices, because I know that Towson has a really high like population that commutes, and I know that we don't affect like gas prices, but I was wondering if like possibly moving to like online would be something that we're considering, or I don't know, there's just something I heard.
Thank you for that same concern. We noted that. Is there any other public participation or student concerns? Right now, we will move into communications, advisor remarks.
How's everyone?
Good.
All right, excellent. So I don't have any remarks today. I just wanted to say, I hope everybody's doing okay and that your exams, your studying, everybody's doing well. Once again, if you need anything, I'm always around. So come see me over in 251. And with that, I yield.
Thank you. Appropriations Committee.
Hey guys, hope everyone's having a lovely Tuesday. So Approps met today for the first time and it was from 3:30 to 4:30 and we reviewed the supplemental request. However, we tabled it due to the organization not providing enough evidence and research. With that, I yield.
Thank you. Government Operations Committee.
Hello, everyone. GovOps found resolution 32 favorable. Just to reiterate, if you have anything you'd like us to review next week, please submit it to Pro Tem Teddy and Vice President Ambush by Friday. And with that, I yield.
Thank you. Rules Committee.
Hi, everyone. I hope you're all good. So the Rules Committee did meet this past Monday, and we are officially done reviewing the standing rules of order. So good. Next up is the Constitution. So I would like for you all to submit those changes to me. I believe we're going to be reviewing up until Article 4 for Monday. So to please submit your changes for that by Friday. But with that, I yield.
Thank you. President DeVoe.
Happy Tiger Tuesday, everybody. I hope you all are doing well, as previously mentioned. Just a couple of brief things. I first want to address the student concerns. As the statement released by the SGA today already outlined, we want to promote a mask-friendly environment at Towson, including those who choose to wear their mask, those who choose not to wear their mask. So that's greatly disheartening to hear, and I'll absolutely be following up with OIE on that particular issue, just because I know there's different language on hate speech, hate crime. It's very nuanced, so I'd like to follow up on that. So thank you for bringing that to our attention today. In addition, I did receive a student concern earlier this week about gas support. I'm open to working with Treasurer Colquitt to see what we can do in terms of aid and offsetting some of those costs. But if you all have any ideas in terms of how to think creatively on how to support those students, absolutely, please let me know. We can maybe even form a work group of some sort, just because I'm not a commuter student, so I don't have that perspective myself, but I know a lot of you may be. So I know a lot of you are. So thank you so much for raising those concerns. Tomorrow, we will be offering a statement of support for friends and community members that are affected by the war in Ukraine. So you can expect to see that, but we'll also be having some programming to show solidarity as well as raise awareness and have educational materials distributed. Thank you so much, Chief of Staff Moody and Treasurer Colquitt and Director Johnstone for leading that effort there. So thank you so much for that. I know there's a lot going on, so I also just want you all to please take care of yourself. There's a lot of things that we all are concerned about and affected by, so please, we know that it doesn't stay outside of the classroom when we step on campus, these issues. So please take advantage of any resources that you need to support your well-being. today. Thank you, Assistant Director Wilhelm, for filling in for me at the Shared Governance Leaders Meeting. They did talk a lot about what we've been doing, shared initiatives. If you all would like the report or notes from that meeting, absolutely contact me. But in short, they were able to talk a little bit about the critical race theory House bill that is not likely to pass in the state of Maryland, but that is a conversation that's happening on a national stage on whether or not we should be teaching critical race theory. So that's something that you all can keep on your radar in the coming weeks. In addition to that, the last thing I wanted to mention, thank you so much to the Department of Diversity and Inclusion, as well as Treasurer Colquitt, for stepping in to serve for the as student representatives for the search for the Assistant Vice President of the Office of Inclusion and Institutional Equity. Those meetings started this week, earlier today. So thank you all so much for your participation on that effort. But as for that, those are all of the general updates that are new information. There are obviously things that I mentioned last week that are still yet ongoing that I will share updates with you all as I receive them. Thank you so much. And with that, I yield.
Thank you so much, Treasurer Colquitt.
Happy Tiger Tuesday, everyone. So I finalized the budget hearing schedule, and just so everyone's on the same page, and if there happen to be any student orgs that may want to know, but I just want to stress to senators, please get this out to your orgs ASAP, and you can also let them know when you send that communications that all information related to budget hearing will be published on the Treasurer's Hub, including sign-up slots, which are first come, first served basis. So initial budget submission will be Sunday, April 3rd at midnight. FAC meeting will take place from Monday, April 4th, and Thursday, April 7th. Final budget submission will be Friday, April 10th at midnight, and budget hearing will be Monday, April 11th through Friday, April 15th. That days throughout that week, and we'll have Director Clark working on communications for that to go out. We'll also host, in addition to FAC meetings, Treasurer's Corner, which is where the treasurers can just come out and ask any questions that they might have related to the budget hearing process, and that'll be on March 30th. Thank you, Chief of Staff Moody, for helping me get those rooms booked. It was a lot of work with the assistance of Director Edwards. Okay, I just also want to thank Representative Holland, who's not here, but she's been doing a lot of great work. She represented us today at the Career Center Boot Camp for internships. She's also representing, as President DeVoe mentioned, on the Assistant Vice President for OIIE research, that committee. So just really thank you to Representative Holland. Finally, we'll be partnering with Tigerthon this year, and more information can come from Director Baxton on that. We'll be working together to plan that initiative. With that, I yield.
Thank you so much. Chief of Staff Moody.
Hi, everyone. So I just want to remind everyone that the last day for hiring will be the 18th. With that, I yield.
Thank you. Academic Affairs.
Oh, there we go. Hello, everyone. Happy Tiger Tuesday. Really quick, just one thing. I'm continuing my research about the enrollment process for transfer students at Towson University. So if anyone is a transfer student or just has any suggestions, I'm going to be creating a survey just to get their feedback. I'm also working with the provost just to raise awareness and to get that out to all the transfer students. So please, if anyone has any concerns or questions or suggestions, please let me know. And with that, I yield.
Thank you. Department of Campus Activities, CAP. Department of Civic Engagement.
Hi, okay, I'm gonna keep it nice and short. So tomorrow, the Civic Engagement and Social Responsibility Office is holding their 2022 Maryland Gubernatorial Candidate Climate Forum. So it's gonna be an online, well, in-person virtual watch party. So if anyone's interested in the candidates and they want to hear more about their climate platform, please show up. It's going to be from 7 to 8:30 tomorrow night in LA 2310. Also this week, we are hosting our History of Foraging events. It's going to be 4:30 to 5:30 p.m. This Friday in the lecture hall. So we'll be giving out a pretty sweet gift to someone who shows up. So if you want to get one of those gifts, please show up. Let's see. Our Green Fund project is going very smoothly. We also had a meeting with Treasurer Colquitt to discuss other modes of funding for sustainable projects through SGA. Lastly, as President DeVoe stated, me, Treasurer Colquitt, and Chief of Staff Moody are working on this Ukrainian support tabling event. The event is to be announced with the date. However, as soon as we get it, we will let you guys know. Yeah, with that,
President DeVoe?
Unless the student wants to be anonymous that you mentioned earlier, would you mind getting their name for me after the meeting, obviously, just so we don't share it right now, but just as you mentioned earlier?
yeah, I'll ask and see.
Okay, perfect. If not, it's perfectly fine, but just so we can follow up.
Thank you.
Thank you. Department of Communications?
Hi, how's everybody doing? This is just a reminder again, those who have not taken their headshots with me yet or reached out to me to schedule time, please do so. I'm trying to get the website up and going as soon as possible. Thank you to those who have reached out regarding posts and for events like months in advance. Makes my life a lot easier. We have a statement regarding the mask issue. It was posted earlier today. Go ahead and read that. Feedback is always appreciated. We hope that we got everyone's opinions in there. One regarding the larger world issues and conflicts is coming out either today or tomorrow, and feedback is welcome on that as well. And a post about AD positions, senator positions, the justice position, and hiring is coming out tomorrow. And if you have any questions, please just let me know. As always, please reshare everything on the Instagram. Trying to get out there as much as possible. It's also Women's History Month, so we will most likely be featuring a few of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Department of Community Outreach?
Great. Hello, everyone. Just a reminder for our service hours, there's a 3 event requirement, one in Towson, one in Baltimore County, and one in like Greater Maryland area. So just make sure you're doing that and make sure you're kind of getting out with your service hours. I will have a pre-meeting March 31st, snack bag packing for the Baltimore Hunger Project. That'll fulfill everyone's Baltimore County service hours, so please come out. I know some of you guys can't make the pre-meeting, so just reach out to me if you are not coming. Let's see, senators, please remind your student orgs to submit their service hours on involved.tu, as they do get 1 Tiger point for their organization. And we are going to be working with Tigerthon again. So yeah, so excited to be reaching out back to them and getting SGA involved. With that being
Thank you so much. Don't forget everyone to do your community service. Department of Diversity and Inclusion.
Hi, everyone. Hope you're all having a good Tuesday. I don't have much to say. So I want to shout out is that tomorrow CSB are doing an event called AI Latina. Basically, it's going to be a bunch of people talking about what it means to be Latina and their experience and everything. That'll be tomorrow from 6 to 7:30. That'll be virtual. You can find the link to go to that on their Instagram. So I highly recommend. I'll be there. Actually, I'll be talking for a little bit. So that's fun, exciting, and everything. And yeah, and I met with DSU, which is the Student Union, for planning on actually doing a fundraiser for NATU, and we're trying to hopefully donate funds to come back to the Towson community. So that's really exciting and everything. And yeah, and also shall remind people to submit art for the art gallery that's happening for NATU. So shout for that. And that's it. And with that, I yield.
Thank you so much. Department of Health and Wellness.
Happy Tiger Tuesday, everyone. No report.
Thank you. Department of Higher Education. Department of Marketing.
Hey everybody, some updates. The Ukraine tabling is currently being rescheduled, so look out for that. The flyer will be up on Instagram and social media soon. We also will be sending out a form for superlative suggestions. So I know everybody's looking forward to banquet. So please fill that out when you get a chance. As stated, the SGA positions post will be posted tomorrow. The Ukraine statement will also be posted tomorrow. The History of Origin event is Friday, March 11th. The 3-on-3 basketball tournament is March 17th. Arts Integration Marathon is April 1st, not on TU, not at TU, will be a whole week. And it'll be April 4th through the 8th. It's on Us will be on May 2nd. Goat Yoga will be on May 13th. And please just remember to use the marketing requests when you want marketing. With that, I yield.
Thank you so much. I'm super excited for these superlatives. Oh, I'm so excited. Department of Student Organizations.
Hopefully these superlatives are not biased. Anyways, happy Tiger Tuesday, everyone. So I just want to announce, Transfer Council will be having an event. So look out for that. It's going to be coming in the coming weeks. So, we're very excited for that. The March Madness event has been posted. So please encourage your friends to sign up for that. And also, I just wanted to shout out Senator Hayes, Senator Evelyn, and Senator Omosori for helping me out with 2 bills that I will be having come to the floor as well. Also, I wanted to shout out Treasurer Colquitt and President DeVoe for representing us well last Wednesday at the FIFAR. With that, I yield.
Thank you so much. Department of Student Organizations.
So the first TU for You event is this Saturday, March 12th, and the tabling starts at 8:30 a.m. and performances start at 10 a.m. And the registration is still open for the other dates for TU for You event, and the Tiger Points will be provided for that. And then the deadline for student orgs to meet with their senator is April 1st. And if there's any clubs that have questions or concerns, please forward their questions. And the spring 2022 mega job and internship fair is on Friday, April 1st from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. And also for the senators, please let your student orgs know that I'll be sending out the advertisement emails on Monday evenings so they can send all the flyers and information about their events to me by Monday, 5 p.m. And with that, I yield.
Thank you so much. Greek Life Representative.
Okay. Hello, everyone. So we have a lot of events coming up, which is awesome. So March 14th, March 17th is actually NPHC week. You can check out the Towson NPHC for the full schedule. I don't think they released it yet, but it's coming up soon. So I can't wait to see what events they have. On March 8th, Sigma Iota Alpha is having their game night in Verdict 116. So if you want to come right after this, that'll be awesome. Help support us. And then on March 9th, the AGD Breakfast of Champions is going to be the Union 302E from the 7 to 9. So I guess that's the ballrooms. And then on 316, Alpha Phi and Theta Chi are having a blood drive through on the Union from 1 to 6 p.m. And now for the more fun, I have our Greek Week events. So Greek Week is currently from April 24th to April 29th. And it consists on Sunday, Greek games, which is inflatables, cornhole toss, wheelbarrow, Disney crawl, and open run, and a tug of war. On Monday, the MGC is having an international food truck fest from 3 to 6 p.m. and any student can really get any food they want from the food trucks, which is awesome. We also have flag football right after for the IOC. On Tuesday, there's a blood drive at various times in TikTok Revolution. On I believe Wednesday, we have Greek Got Talent in the University Union Auditorium, which starts at 7:30 p.m. Thursday, Tiger Fest. We already know about that. And Friday is actually one of the biggest events. It's lip sync battle, which is basically the same as Dance to Madness, except every chapter is participating themselves. And it's going to be a huge thing at CQ. So I really hope all of you guys can come out and support our chapters. But now, other than that, I'm looking forward to the weeks ahead of us and proud to be.
Thank you so much. Director Thatson, would a blood drive count as community service if someone did it? Like the donated blood?
Can I answer that?
Oh, advisor.
So it's twofold. So if you volunteer at the blood drive to help out, it counts as community service. But if you give blood, it counts as 2 hours of community service giving blood, or it counts as philanthropy because blood is worth money. So if you have philanthropic issues, so like if you have to donate $50 So that's how we figured this out. A lot of people have been asking this question. So a bunch of people asked.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
I mean,
I just wanted to.
Yeah.
Conversation.
but that's it.
Okay, cool. Well, if y'all need community service, there's always a blood shortage, so you can do that if you want. Freshman council representative.
Hello, my name is Ryan. I'm the treasurer for the freshman council. I'm also today's representative. So last week we had an interest meeting that went very well. We had a very high turnout. A lot of people were very interested in joining. And we also are having some, or we're looking forward to planning some events in the very near future. So thank you.
Thank you. Disability representative. Happy Tiger Tuesday, everyone. Just a few things. Tomorrow, me and Assistant Director Wilhelm will be having a library tour, seeing kind of the updates that are happening on the third floor, which is really exciting. If y'all have been in the library lately, you saw that whole third floor is closed, and they're giving us a tour. So I'm very, very excited to kind of hear about those updates that will be happening. As you all know, I'm currently in the CIO search committee. That has been going well. I can't say too much about it, but it's been really, really going well. Again, I really want to stress, if you have ideas for legislation, please submit them on the legislation submit form so that me and Pro Tem Tetsy can make sure that they get out to the senators, and the senators have enough time to write them and do really good research when they hit the floor. They're awesome. We finished standing rules. Shout out to the rules committee. It was literally amazing. And once the standing rules bill gets on the floor and we pass it, we don't have to keep adding the disability representative, because then it'll be permanently added. So that's really, really excited. And I really want to stress about constitutional changes, especially to the directors. If you want to change something about your position, like the name or like some of the responsibilities, please submit those changes to Pro Tem Tetsy soon, so that once we go through the Constitution, we can review those changes you would like to see. Senators one-on-ones are next week. I sent you all a form, so please fill that out as soon as possible. I'm excited for our one-on-ones. And I do want to stress, I have to say this every week, it is still the 101st administration. It is this way until May 17th. I know elections are coming up, which is really, really exciting. I really want as many people as possible to run, but please remember that we are all still serving in our duties until May 17th. And yeah, President DeVoe.
I just wanted to reiterate on behalf of Pro Tem Teddy and Vice President Ambush, please, please, please adhere to the deadlines that Pro Tem Teddy sets for the Rules Committee's recommendations that you all propose for the respective documents, because all of those need to be reviewed by the end of the year. They need to be reviewed annually. Particularly of more importance, the Constitution needs to have all those recommendations submitted before election season, because it needs to be voted on by the entire student population during voting periods. So please, please, please adhere to those deadlines. And if she says it, that's what it is. Please, no negotiations or anything like that. Please just adhere to the schedule that's been set. Thank you all so much.
Thank you. Are there any opinions of the court?
No, there are not.
Thank you.
Congratulations on a successful event, Chief Justice Hurtado Olsen for the badminton tournament. I'm back. So there's no unfinished business for today. We'll now move into new business. Are there any motions on the floor? Senator Maddox,
Move that we review resolution 32.
is there a second? Senator Ewan? Okay, is there any discussion? If not, we'll now vote to review resolution number 32. All those in favor? Opposed? Or abstaining? Okay, with that, the motion passes, and we can now review resolution number 32, which is written by Senator Rank on behalf of Director Johnstone. So if you guys would like to speak on behalf of the bill, you may at this point. Director Johnstone?
All right, hi. So My apologies for not standing. I'm a little bit of pain. It's okay. Anyway, so we decided to draft this bill after, well, okay, it started last semester when the wages were at, as they are listed, 12.20 per hour. However, if you were at the fee forum, you learned that starting this semester, they did increase their wages to $15 an hour, which is great, which is awesome. I'm so happy they did that. However, this bill, if, you know, we have some changes in mind, I'm sure, could be used to further advocate to make sure that travel workers aren't ever disenfranchised like they were for a month and a half, like this time. So basically that's the point. Earlier it was just saying like, hey, we are advocating for these workers to get paid minimum wage, and now it's moving more into terms of we advocate for our workers to be paid as much, if not more, than the student workers. Yeah, if Senator Rink wants to say anything about that.
Senator Rink?
Hi, everyone. As Director Johnston said, this legislation's main purpose is to state the student government's support for Chartwell's workers in that they should be fairly compensated at the same rate that Towson University employees are compensated, even though they are contracted and technically separate in that way from Towson University employees. In a moment, I'll move to strike the paragraph that's no longer applicable as of the P forum, but the main purpose of this bill is still the same and does not change without that whereas section, so please don't let that trip you up as in a moment. But you'll see also in the therefore be it further resolved that we wanted this to have sort of like a concrete path to move forward if if we ever in the future, for example, raise our minimum wage or our minimum wage for Towson employees to $17 an hour and Chartwell's did not keep up with that increase. This would be saying that we would no longer support the contract with Chartwell's until they upheld the standards that Towson University is setting forth for its own employees. I hope that sets a good precedent of the bill. I would like to make a motion before we begin the full discussion, just so
You can proceed.
okay. I move that we strike the second whereas section.
Is there a second? That was a formal recommendation.
yes.
Well,
Motion.
motion, okay. Is there a second? Senator Washington Mara?
Second.
Okay, is there any discussion? If not, we'll now move into a vote to strike the second whereas. All those in favor? Opposed? Or abstaining? Okay, with that, the motion passes and the second whereas. Struck. Okay, we can proceed with the discussion. Do we have any more comments, questions, concerns on the bill before we vote on it? Director Johnston?
I know it's pointed out in the bill, but just in case anyone has read it. The Chartwell's contract comes up every 5 years for renewal. So the next one happens next June 2023, I should say, sorry. So if our minimum wage does go up by then, and whoever's in the 102nd administration sees that there is this discrepancy between our rate of pay and Chartwell's rate of pay, then we would issue a formal statement saying that we do not support the renewal of the contract, as stated in the therefore be it further resolved.
Thank you. Do we have any more questions, comments, concerns on the resolution? Yes, Justice Adenova.
Hello? Can you hear me? Okay, so, this bill is amazing. My only concern is that I don't think we should be against, renewing Chartwell's contract when it comes up next in June 2023, because I think that's more up to the university and more to what Chartwell is going to negotiate at that time. I mean, if they see that we're against them right now, they may be willing to change some of the policies to better suit housing. So that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that we shouldn't be against designing Chartwell if they're willing to negotiate or willing to change some policies.
Senator Ring.
Just to make sure that I'm understanding your question, your point is that if, Chartwell's, if there ever was another discrepancy and they were willing to negotiate, you're saying that we should still stay with Chartwell's, is that?
I mean, we don't have to stay with Charlie. If there's a better option, we should go for the better option. But if the Charlie is willing to change, I say we should possibly stay.
Okay, thank you. So if you see that therefore be it resolved where it says, we would not support further contracts with Chartwell's if their wages for the contracted employees are not commensurate. So if there was ever a gap and then they closed it, then there's no problem anymore. There is just, if they continue to have a gap between what Towson pays and what Chartwell's is paying their employees, and they're not willing to negotiate, they're not willing to close that gap, at that point, the Student Government Association would issue a statement saying that we are not, we do not approve of our contract with Chartwell's until they close that gap. Does that make sense?
Justice Hanson. Also, can you hear me? Does this also apply if like they, like if there's a gap, meaning that like Chartwell's gets paid more than like Towson workers, like would that still like apply? Like we wouldn't like support them, if that makes sense, or, yeah. Did you want to answer that, Senator?
I'll yield to Director Johnson in a moment, but in the now second whereas, originally the third whereas, where it says Towson acknowledges that wages below our minimum wage are insufficient for a livable wage. So like currently, for example, at $15 an hour, Towson is acknowledging that below that is insufficient to live in this area. So if for whatever reason Chartwell's is being paid more, which in my opinion, I would like to see them being paid more because many of them are full-time employees. But if Chartwell's is paying more, that's great, but we're saying that Towson's base wage is their bare minimum, what they think is required, but I'll yield to Director Johnson. If that's okay.
Yeah, so I was just gonna say pretty much the same thing. The only point that I would add on is that the language of the bill specifically says that Chartwell's is lower than our current rates, or our rate at any point, then we would advocate for them. There isn't anything, saying that if they are higher, then we would advocate for our own raise. If someone would like to pass a bill like that, that sounds great, but that's a deal. So I just want to make that clarification.
Was that clarifying enough? Okay. President DeVoe. Going off of that, I just wanted to ask, I just learned what commensurate meant today. So does that mean equal?
So commensurate means like the same as, so if like we raised ours, then they need to raise theirs as well.
Right, so I hear that the rest of the bill does make that distinction of if it's lower, then it needs to be raised. But in the therefore be it resolved and further resolved, it does not say specifically that. So if they're not commensurate with Towson University's current minimum wage, it could be, I worry that it could be interpreted as it needs to be the same as, because the last paragraph of the bill, it's there, so if someone just reads that part, they should be able to understand what the will of the bill is. So I feel like it's just like an added word that might be helpful. I think it's pretty straightforward, but I hear what Justice Yampton was, I think, getting at earlier, but I could take it with a grain of salt.
I just, a clarifying question. So is I see what you're saying about the language, but I just want to make sure I'm understanding your reasoning for it being possibly vague for like someone who's not sitting here right now. Are you saying that it should not be commensurate or equal to in case we lower our wage again? Or?
Thank you. So I think that it should say, if wages for their contracted employees do not meet the threshold of the current minimum wage at Towson University, versus language saying commensurate, I think could be interpreted as they need to make what we make. And that could be less, or that could be more. Does that make sense? So like, for example, say that, they get a pay increase for them, but we don't. And then we're saying the bill could be interpreted as we get 15 and now they make 17. So they need to make 15 because it needs to be commensurate with Towson University. Does that make sense? So I think that it could be written as it needs to meet or cross or surmount the threshold of minimum wage at Towson University. It cannot be less, because that's not explicitly stated here. But I like the word. I mean, I think the word is cool, but I learned it today. But I think that could be vague.
Yeah, I guess, I do see what President DeVoe is saying, but I would be interested to hear other opinions from the Senate before a formal motion or recommendation was made.
Senator Wetchner.
I agree with President DeVoe. I think that the bill being most efficient. Thank you. I agree with President DeVoe. I think that the most effective way to make the bill more efficient and more helpful is to slightly alter the wording to make sure that it's more detailed and explicit. So I think the best way to do it would to make sure that it suffices the Towson's minimum wage to make it more efficient. So I agree with President DeVoe.
Do we have any more comments from the Senate in regards to what Senator Rank just said? If not, do we have any more general, I guess, comments, questions, concerns, or even motions that want to be made before we proceed into, I guess, the general vote? Director Johnstone.
Yeah, I completely agree with what President Joe said. Thank you for clarifying a little bit. I do support that. I think can I make the formal recommendation while I have this one?
Sure.
Thank you. So instead of it being for their contracted employees are not commensurate with Towson University's current wage, I think we should change it to if wages for their contracted employees are not equal or do not equal or sort of okay, do not match or succeed Towson University's current wage.
Can you make that more concrete, like,
Yeah,
more, steady, so we can understand?
Okay.
Where in the bill are you?
Oh, therefore be it further resolved. Thank you. So on the last sentence, if wages for their contracted employees do not match or exceed Towson University's current minimum wage.
So we would remove the not commensurate and say what you just said instead? Is that what I'm understanding?
Correct.
Okay. And it is do not match or exceed
Towson University's current minimum wage.
Okay, does anyone accept that recommendation? Senator Mackey?
Accept.
Is there a second? Senator Rink?
I second.
Is there any discussion on this recommendation, Senator Rink?
I have a point of clarification, I guess. If we change the language and therefore be resolved, should we be changing also the language and the concerning and the
language
therefore be
also.
resolved?
Yeah, change. That was a point of information, just to clarify. Okay, so back to the, I guess, discussion on the recommendation we were having. Do we have any more discussion? discussion on the recommendation? President DeVoe, you go ahead.
Would you like for your recommendation to be reflected throughout the document, including the concerning section at the top?
Yeah,
Yeah, I believe that's what we just established.
Right, I didn't know if you had said yes to that.
Oh, no, I support it.
Okay. So we were saying it would be reflected, the recommendation would be reflected throughout the whole document, so it's consistent in understanding. Do we have any more discussion on the recommendation, Senator Watchnamara?
This is the point of information regarding the recommendation. So if it's saying match or exceed, would that mean that if it exceeds the Towson's current minimum wage, it wouldn't be supported by SJ? It would.
With this change. With that change, that's the reason why it was put in, so it would be supported by the SGA, because we're saying if it doesn't match or exceed it, then we would not. But if it does exceed it, then that's still within the realm of what we're supporting. And while I do have the floor, I would say in the therefore be it resolved, when it's for the person who's making the amendments for reflected throughout the document, make sure in the therefore be it resolved, they remove any language of commensurate in the document then. But that's it. Thank you.
Thank you for that clarification, President DeVoe. Chief Justice Hurtado Olson,
Oh, sorry, point of personal privilege.
granted. Any more questions, comments, concerns on the recommendation before we vote on it? Senator Rank?
I agree with the recommendation. My only concern is that using that same language in the therefore be it resolved and the concerning section doesn't really make sense with the way it's worded. So I think possibly a second, a follow-up recommendation would be better.
Vice President Ambush.
I was having the same concern. It'd be hard to like swap out those words with the exact language we use in the therefore be it resolved, but, and y'all can disagree, but reading the introduction, it says fair and commensurate. It doesn't seem like that necessarily contradicts the changes that we're discussing. Now, someone can disagree, but that's what I think.
President DeVoe.
I think that it needs to say fair or commensurate for it to not contradict, because if it says and, it still means equal from my interpretation. So I would say for the recommendation on the floor, or Director Johnson, do you want to? Yeah.
I support this, but I think it's a little wordy. Can we move that to separate?
Yeah, hold on. You can see if you disagree with what I was about to just say, but I'm fine with it being a separate recommendation. But I think for this recommendation, just striking the word commensurate, I'm sorry, never mind. That makes it more confusing. Yeah, so instead of adding reflected throughout the document, I would just keep the original recommendation and then you all can make it. Yeah, that makes sense. My bad.
Vice President Ambush.
President DeVoe, if it's reflected throughout the document, couldn't we change the and to or because it wouldn't change the meaning of the legislation? Because
I don't think you should reflect it throughout the document, because I think that's where the confusion is.
Okay.
I would just make a separate recommendation.
Senator Ring.
Just to like restate and clarify, because I feel like we've.
It's
said a lot right now. I think that the recommendation should be the original recommendation, just to change the section in the therefore be it further resolved. And it would change the section that says their contracted employees are not commensurate to the wages for their contract employees do not match or exceed Towson University's current minimum wage.
You're talking about the last section?
Yes, for the therefore be it further.
We are still just to clarify, discussing that recommendation that was made on the therefore be further resolved, just so we're on the same page, because I know we got a little bit like, yeah, over where we were. But if there's no more questions, comments, concerns on this recommendation that was made in the therefore be it further resolved section, is there before we proceed to a vote? Okay, if not, we'll now move into a vote to accept the recommendation that was made to change commensurate to do not match or exceed. To use something else, I don't have the exact wording. But I'm pretty sure we're on the same page here. Okay.
For the minutes, it's eliminating or not. commensurate with.
Do not match or exceed TU's wage. Do not,
Yeah.
I think,
So you're taking out are not commensurate with and putting in do not match. or
do not match or exceed TU's wages or current minimum wages. I don't have the exact wording written down, but that is what is currently on the floor. That is what is going to be voted on. Okay? Do we have any last minute questions, comments, concerns? Director Edwards.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but really we could get rid of the word fair as well, because that creates like vagueness because it's subjective. So like what's fair to me may not be what's fair to another administration in the future. So another word or phrase we could use instead of the fair and commensurate, we could just say Towson University SGA advocates for the compensation of Charles workers at Towson University's campus to equal or exceed, like just so it's the same kind of wordage that we're having in there, therefore be it for the result.
Director Edwards, just to clarify, are you referring to the current recommendation and the therefore be further result? Because I got a little lost.
So let's vote on this first. And then,
Okay, so when we finish voting on the current recommendation, then we'll talk about a different recommendation that wants to be made, just to clarify. Do we have any more comments, questions, concerns on this current recommendation? Okay, if not, we'll proceed into a vote. All those in favor, opposed, or abstaining? Great, we thought the motion passes and we'll make that change and then therefore be further resolved section. Now we can come back to comments, concerns, and questions and recommendations on the general bill. So I know I heard conversations that were going on about changing fair and commensurate and stuff like that. So do we have any questions, comments, concerns on that regard? No. Senator Maddox.
Okay, so just in the introduction to the resolution and the last whereas, along with the therefore be it resolved, just the words and commensurate, probably like Olivier said, change them to or. I feel like it would just be a very simple change that would keep it making sense and concise.
Ask a question. President DeVoe. Do you believe, I'm asking you, do you believe that fair is subjective here and that it should be further clarified? Because before we move into that, we probably should address that concern too, but I just want to hear what you think.
I don't think it should be further clarified. I mean, it's subjective, but it's ultimately just one word. It doesn't make it more vague or less vague. It's fair. I think everyone has an idea of what fair is, and if we take it out or add it, it doesn't really make a difference in the grand scheme of things, in my opinion.
Thank you. Director Johnstone.
Also, just touching on the fair point. On the last therefore be resolved, fair isn't really brought up. It's stated explicitly what we want and when we want it. So I don't think that the language of the bill is really incredibly vague, you know.
Senator Rank.
I would agree with possibly changing it to and/or commensurate. But I can understand how fair seems vague, but I feel like if you read it in the context of the whole bill, like it's the intention is that you'll understand, like Director Johnson said, that there is substance behind the ask. It's not just saying, pay people well, if that makes sense. But I can see how it would be vague.
Vice President Ambush.
Because this seems to be like a word that's like up for interpretation, I just wanted to hear like what Chief Justice Hurtado Olson had to think, like if J boards like were to interpret this, would you think that fair was like too big? Like, what's y'all's advice? Or someone else on the J board?
Okay, we'll grant you a section. President DeVoe.
I think the fact that we're having the conversation at all implies that it is to some level subjective, but I do think that the operational definition of fair is defined and then therefore be it further resolved, but that's just how I would interpret it. But yeah, but I also am of the notion that the top should match the bottom. So whatever we do, it needs to be consistent.
I think that we should, what things that we should remove fair and replace it with equal as, Director Edwards was saying. Okay, we can circle back. Director Edwards.
I was saying, not to use the word equal as that is a synonym to commensurate. I was saying to say, instead of saying fair and commensurate, we get rid of that and we say, therefore be it resolved, Towson University SGA advocates for charter workers to be compensated. No, charter workers' compensation to match or exceed Towson University's current minimum wage. So kind of using the same wordage and the therefore be it resolved and the therefore be it further resolved, use the same wordage and the therefore be it resolved. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense? No, seriously, I can respond. I can do it again.
Is it clear?
Top of the bill, is that what you're like?
So yeah, and at the top of the bill, we can say the same thing. So at the top of the bill, we can say a resolution concerning the, I don't know, I'll have to think of it, you know.
You're good, no.
All right, yeah, I'll have to think of, just give me like 2 minutes. Can I grant you like 2
You're
minutes?
good. Take your time. We can circle back to you. Justice Anderson. Circle back. So since fair and like you guys saying fair and commensurate are the same thing, like I feel like doesn't it make sense to just remove both fair and commensurate and just replace it with the word equal? That's just my concern. Okay, thank you for that comment, Treasurer Colquitt.
Okay, if everybody looks at the screen, this should solve like the question. I think Director Edwards, if this is what you're saying, so the bill would be changed to therefore be it resolved, the 101st Administration of the Towson University Student Government Association advocate for Chartwell's compensation to match or exceed Towson University's minimum wage. Is that fair?
Yes, I do.
All right, thank you.
Thank you so much for that clarification, Treasurer Colquitt. Senator Watchman.
So if we're gonna change the, okay. So if we're gonna alter the wording for the therefore be a resolved, should we just strike the therefore be a further resolved just to avoid it being redundant?
Everybody take a deep breath and let's continue having this conversation in a healthy environment. Thank you. Senator Rank.
To what Senator Watchmere said, I feel like that is why we don't really need to change the wording personally, because the therefore be it resolved follows up immediately by saying what we mean by fair and commensurate. And also there is a whereas, like while I understand, and that would make sense to just strike therefore be resolved and replace it, I kind of feel like that's why it's there. And then there is a whereas that acknowledges what we mean is fair, which is that if the university raises their compensation, then we acknowledge that that's a fair wage to be paid. So I kind of feel like we're talking ourselves in circles when it makes sense at least to me already, but I do, like, I can't see how completely restructuring it would maybe make it more clear, but I feel like that's the point, and therefore be it further resolved.
Vice President Ambush.
I want to say I agree with the wording that Treasurer Colquitt and Director Edwards said. I think this matches the language in the therefore further resolved, and if it's reflected across the document, I think it says the meaning of the bill that Senator Rank and Director Johnstone wanted the bill to have. So I think the wording that's currently up there that was changed by Treasurer Colquitt, I think is good by matching the language.
President Duval. To respond to Senator Washington Brown, the therefore be it further resolved is presenting what the ultimatum is. So I think that it's new information. I don't think that it's redundant. I would say that. But this is totally off topic, so I apologize. But I think that see how it says Towson University's minimum wage and therefore be it resolved. I think that it shouldn't say current. Because is it current the minimum wage at the time of the passing of the bill? Or current, like when we're negotiating it? So I think just eliminating the word current could eliminate some confusion. But I understand that that's off topic, but I just wanted to do all that. Is that a recommendation or?
We have
just-
a on the floor. right
No,
now.
we already voted. We don't have any recommendations on the floor right now, just to put it in the air.
That's why you're the president.
Advisor Leno.
Just really quick, for compensation, I have a suggestion that should say hourly compensation, because if you're an RA, you get free room. If you work in some office, you get free food and hourly. So you should be a little bit specific with compensation and talk about hourly compensation. Because compensation can happen in many different ways. And you want to just reflect the hourly pay, correct? Not all, like not all of their compensation, correct? So that's just a suggestion from the advisor. Oh, sorry.
No, I forgot to mention.
Did everybody hear me or should I do it again? You all
I
heard
think
me?
you're good. Yep, thank you. Okay, President DeVoe, can you restate your formal recommendation?
I'll restate my formal recommendation, and for the sake of the live stream, could you repeat when we get a chance to come back to you? But I was saying that I would recommend that we eliminate the word current and then therefore be it further resolved for eliminate confusion.
Does anyone accept our recommendation? Senator Rank? Is there a second? Senator Maddox?
My second.
Is there any discussion? Okay, if not, we'll now vote. All those in favor? Opposed or abstaining? Great, without the motion passes, we will strike current from the document. Okay, Director Johnstone.
I'd like to make a formal recommendation, that's what Mr. Leonard was talking about, to add in hourly compensation on the therefore be it resolved. And I think that's the only place, correct? Correct me if I'm wrong.
It should be throughout.
Throughout, so
Okay.
it will be reflected throughout the document.
Yes.
Thank you. Does anyone accept our recommendation? Senator Maddox,
Accept our recommendation.
is there a second? Senator Omasore,
I'll second.
is there any discussion? If not, we'll now vote. All those in favor? Opposed or abstaining? Great, that motion passes, and we will reflect hourly compensation throughout the document. Okay, we can continue the discussion on the document, the bill as a whole. Do we have any more questions, comments, concerns, recommendations, motions? Vice President Ambush.
Did we vote to change the language and the therefore be it resolved? I didn't think so. Yeah, we didn't vote. To replace fair commencement.
No.
Can I formally?
Go ahead.
I yield to Treasurer Colquitt.
I think the discussion was had, but there was never a vote. So I recommend that we amend the therefore be it resolved to remove the fair and commensurate compensation of Chartwell's workers on to Chartwell's hourly compensation to match or exceed throughout the document. And then Towson University's minimum wage.
Does anyone accept that recommendation? Senator Mackey? Okay, is there a second? Senator Salim? Is there any discussion? Senator Rink?
So you said replace throughout the document, the fair and commensurate compensation of Chartwell's workers, and change that to match or exceed.
It's like right behind the wording is right there. If you want.
Okay,
Does that clarify?
yes.
Okay. Do you have a follow-up question?
No, I don't. I was just wanted to make sure because that wording does make sense, but that wording didn't make sense. Like the wording that you said out loud is like slightly different, but that does make sense. What we have on there.
Thank you. Do we have any more questions, comments, concerns on this recommendation that was made by Treasurer Copeland? Okay, if not, we'll now move into a vote on the recommendation. All those in favor? Opposed? Or abstaining? Okay, with that, the motion passes and the wording will change and the therefore be resolved section of the bill. We're back on the bill as a whole. Do we have any more recommendations, questions, comments, concerns? Senator Rink?
I move to change the concerning section to reflect the therefore be resolved section. So it's a resolution concerning Chartwell's hourly compensation to match or succeed Towson University's. I thought it was just a therefore be resolved.
Yeah, throughout the
Okay,
document, yeah. So I think we're good on that, but thank you for bringing that up. Do we have any more questions, comments, concerns, recommendations, motions to be made on this bill before we vote? Okay, if not, we'll now vote on resolution 32 as a whole. All those in favor, opposed, or abstaining? Great, with that, the motion passes and resolution number 32 has passed. Really proud. Okay, so we'll now move into announcements. Do we have any announcements? Treasurer Copeland?
Hi again, everyone. So, if you notice in the group meeting, I did send out the fee form, online feedback, for those who couldn't make it to the fee form. President DeVoe and I decided to push that, deadline back to midnight tonight, because we didn't get much feedback. So if you do have any thoughts regarding the fees, as proposed, or we hear students, making concerns about the fees directly to the form, so that when we meet with, Mr. Lowenthal and the university tomorrow, moving forward, we can, voice those concerns.
You, Treasurer Copeland. I have a quick announcement. I don't know if I told you all the date I had for the changes to the Constitution for Article 1 till 4 to be submitted to me, but the deadline is Friday for Article 1 to 4 of the Constitution to be submitted to me. Just want to make that announcement. Do we have any more announcements before we adjourn? Okay, if not, are there any motions on the floor? Senator Maddox? Is there a second? Senator Hayes? Is there any discussion? If not, we're now moving to a vote to adjourn. All those in favor? Opposed? Or abstaining? Great, without the motion passes, meeting adjourned. Can everyone put their name tag in the box, please? Thank you.